people will avoid selling, and they've got this idea that you don't need to sell. On the other side of the coin, people get this idea that selling is, you're a born salesman. It's not true. Or it requires gift to the gab. Not true. Or it's even worse than that. It's somehow fucking dirty or tacky or unpleasant, you know? And I don't think it's any of those things. But I mean, subcontractors, tradesmen, and this applies to virtually every business too. And we're talking about subcontractors because that's the market we mostly serve. But virtually everyone, they won't sell for 3 reasons. The first is they just don't know they have to. Right? They think sales, most salespeople are actually order takers.
Yeah.
That's all they are. You know, they think they're salesmen and women, but they're not. They're order takers. They don't know any sales techniques. And I'm not talking about the cheesy ones that Zig Ziglar used to fucking promote, the 75 different fucking types of closes he had at all. That kind of old-fashioned, generally high-pressure sales, I wouldn't say it's out of date. It never was in date. It's just a horrible way of doing it. But some people think that's what salesmanship is. Quite rightly, they don't want to do it, so they don't do any selling at all. So they don't know they have to. They don't realise that you've got to sell. As Robert Ringer said, nothing happens, no one makes any money until someone buys something.
Yeah.
You know, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are the kind of person who thinks your stuff will sell itself, quality will sell itself, there is a grain of truth in that, and it won't hurt. Of course it won't. But, you know, you will go broke. You will struggle in business. The world is full of competing products where an inferior product trumped a superior product with better marketing. Give you 2 examples. The first is Betamax and VHS. Betamax was in all respects a better technical solution to the problem. VHS was just better promoted. And of course, with those things, you get to a kind of critical mass, like the bigger fish in the pond, and the bigger it is, the quicker it grows. Second one, and this is going to probably raise a few eyebrows, and it's not strictly true because they weren't really contemporary. But if you look at the difference between Roald Dahl and J.K. Rowling, I think Roald Dahl was a far better author.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly different genre, but he was a far better writer. J.K. Rowling is not, I'm not saying she's a bad writer, and I'm not knocking her success or saying it's all about marketing. But the fact remains, a large part of her success and popularity was the way she was marketed.
Yeah.
I remember reading, before anyone knew who she was, a story about this unknown author who was about to publish a book, and the tale of how she wrote it during nap times of her baby as a single mother on longhand on the coffee shop table. I've been told that's not true, or not entirely true. It's a bit embellished. I don't know. I'm not make no comment on that. But the fact is, a huge part of J.K. Rowling's success as an author is down to good marketing, and there's no disgrace in that. I'm not saying there is. What I'm saying is, I think Roald Dahl was a far better writer. He wasn't unsuccessful by any means, but he didn't reach the stellar heights of success. I mean, she's a billionaire, billionairess, whatever you like to call her. But, you know, so there's 2 examples, and there are loads of them. Inferior product, superior marketing. And indeed, nearly every single one of us, probably including us too. There are people out there who are not as smart as you, as good at your job as you, as experienced as you. Inferior product, inferior service, and they're doing better than you are, doing better than we are as well, simply because they are better at marketing, either because they know more in that respect, they found a better groove, that they're more diligent with their processes and systems, that kind of thing. It's just true. So they don't know they have to, and therefore they don't. The second thing is, following on from that, even if they do know they have to, often they just don't know how to. Like I said a minute ago, they've got this idea that sales is really about having the gift of the gab and giving lists of features and telling people how great you are. It's like the problem we laugh about this with Zach, but you know, a plumber, for instance, and you see this all the time. So I'm not knocking Zach or anyone else or any individual. You see it all the time. Electricians, painters and decorators, all kinds of retail. We've been in business since 1977. No job too small. We won't be beaten on price. We've got the widest range of stock in the business. All those things. So fucking what? None of that matters. Can you solve my problem right fucking now? It's all I care about. you know, understanding that kind of thing is fundamental to say, what are you holding up there? I love taps. That's the, yes, that's the fucking potato from a from that. So they don't know how to. We'll say a bit more in a minute, but sales is a learnable skill. You know, no one is a born salesman. I mean, I'm guessing some people are perhaps more disposed to it, predisposed to it, because they like the interaction. But it's like any predisposition. It's just where you start from. It's just your latent ability, your latent potential. If you don't exercise it, you won't reach the potential. A little bit like there's a guy called you won't know him. It's way before your time. He was a bodybuilder. I can't think of his fucking name now. Dorian Yates, gigantic bloke. But I've seen photos of him when he was 16, a little rake. Now his potential was he became Mr. Olympia, God knows how many times. He was one of the world's most famous bodybuilders. If he hadn't lifted weights like bodybuilders do, he would never reach his potential. He'd still be a skinny 50-year-old, whatever he is now. Yeah, his potential was great. His genetic potential was huge, but until he worked on it, he didn't realize it. It's the same with sales. You know, some of us might have a better predisposition towards sales for various different reasons, ability to read body language, better empathy, all those kinds of things. But unless we actually exercise them, we'll never know. So they don't know how to, and they don't learn. They think they can't. They've got no idea. And the last one, I think probably the most important one, and this isn't any kind of canonical list or hierarchical list. I think a lot of them are afraid to, because
sure.
if you're doing sales properly, at some point, you know, you are going to ask for the sale. You know, there gets to a point when you've got to ask. Mm-hmm. Not like when you're having sex with someone, when it just kind of happens because you both speak the body language of love. It's not like that. At some point, you have to say to the client, the potential client, well, are you in or are you out? And at that point, things get very real, because you either get told yes, in which case it's great for them, or they get told no, in which case many of them feel a crushing defeat. Various reasons. They put loads of work into the sales process and it's all been wasted. Yeah, that's true. So don't do it. They take it as a personal rejection. He's not buying my stuff, therefore I'm a bad or unpleasant person. All these things. Oh my God, I've not made this. Am I going to make the next sale from? Because they see marketing and sales being an event and not a series of events. In other words, a process. All these things. So this is why I suspect a lot of people on LinkedIn, they talk all this bullshit about making relationships, giving value, dropping value bombs, all this bollocks, simply because they're too fucking chicken shit to post on LinkedIn and say, this is the problem we solve. If you make this profile, I want to talk to you, DM me. Because the thing they would fear then is a fucking empty inbox.